Alright guys, so in this video, we're going to try and see who can recover more highlights in a 7-stop overexposure. It's going to be between the Pocket 6K and the Arri Alexa Classic. Now I know I uploaded this video a couple of days ago, but after reading some of you guys' comments, it really made me realize a couple of things. A, applying a LUT in this kind of comparison is really not that smart. So one of the commenters said, don't use the LUT. So that's what we're doing right now. We are just going to use the Arri Log flat profile and the Blackmagic film profile, and we're going to try and see who can recover the most at 7 stops overexposure. Now another person said go ahead and try CST or color space transform tool. I did that and I pretty much got the same result as my previous test, so I decided to go ahead and go with this. No LUTs whatsoever. We're just gonna try and bring as much detail as we can back in post-production. So if you didn't see the previous video that I took down, let me go ahead and break this scenario down for you. We have 4 clips here. We have 2 Arri Raws and 2 Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K clips. The first set, the Arri Raw, was shot at ISO 800, which is the native ISO of the Arri Alexa. The second clip, it was shot in ISO 400 because that's the native ISO of the Pocket 6K. Both cameras were using the same lens, a contact size 50mm 1.4 mmJ, and it's also shooting at the same aperture. I believe it was f8, okay? So the only difference between these 2 clips upon capture is on the Arri Raw, I had to increase the shutter speed off the Arri camera to 1/96th, while the Pocket 6K stayed at 1/48th. Now, image-wise, without much movements, we should not be able to tell the difference. I did this because I wanted to compensate for the 1-stop difference between the ISO 800 and the ISO 400. So by increasing my shutter speed to 1/96, I should be even Stevens with the Pocket 6K. Second set, I have an Arri and I got a Pocket 6K. Now in these 2 clips, everything was even Stevens across the board. You're probably wondering why I would use ISO 800 on the Pocket 6K. Well, if you didn't know, shooting at a higher ISO on the Pocket 4K and 6K, you're actually capturing more highlights. If you check the manual, look at the table, you'll see it. Shooting high ISO will let you capture more detail in the highlights, but you are going to lose on your low end, okay? So first set, we had a shutter speed different. Second set, everything is even Stevens. Aperture is the same. Shutter angle is the same. Lenses are the same. Everything's the same. That out of the way, let's go ahead and start working on these clips. Let's start with the Arri Raw. Like I said, we're not going to be using any LUTs, so let's go ahead and create some nodes. So the first thing that I noticed upon capturing these 2 cameras, when I was looking on the back of the screens, I noticed that the Arri Alexa captured more detail on the back of the screen, meaning upon capture. So I said, wow, the Pocket 6K is going to be screwed. However, when I imported these in DaVinci Resolve in post, the story kind of changed, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. Alright, so Arri Raw, Pocket 6K. This is what I saw when I was capturing the clips. First things first, let's go ahead and make sure that that's Arri clip. Let's go ahead and take down exposure to 160. And let's see if we can get rid of those highlights. You can see there, let me go make that waveform a little bit bigger. You're gonna see that the highlights were starting to recover there. So as you can see there, that the highlights were already recovered some. So now what I'm gonna do is just go to the color wheels and just stretch our contrast, okay? And this is actually easier than try to apply a LUT, all right? So obviously it's not gonna have a lot of color because we're just stretching the contrast, but all we're trying to do is recover highlights, okay? So Control F, then you're gonna see now that that's pretty much everything we can get back from the highlights with the Arri Alexa. And I am gonna give you guys these files to download in the comments below. So if you can recover more than this, please do share it, because I'm not a colorist. You might know some tricks, but for me, I've spent a lot of times with these clips. This is the absolute most I can get out of the highlights, the clouds, okay? That being said, Alt-1, I'm gonna save that for now. Now we can, decrease the mids a little bit if you want. It's just really up to your taste there, but what I'm gonna do is just, kind of color correct it and just do it by eye as far as brightness and stuff. So Alt-1, and now we're going to switch over to the Blackmagic RAW, which was shot in ISO 400. Same thing, we're going to create 2 nodes. We're not going to use any LUTs, so this is Blackmagic Design Film. Same thing, we're dropping the ISO down to as low as you can get, and what we're going to do is drop exposure as well, as low as we can get. All right, so far we've done the same thing. Now we're going to click the highlight recovery, boom, and now we're going to stretch that contrast all the way down and then all the way up. All right, I don't usually like going all the way up, if you notice that. I don't bring it all the way up as high as you can, kind of just like right there in that line, but that's just the way I do it. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm just showing you. So Blackmagic RAW now, we Control F, okay, and we're gonna flip through it. This is the Pocket 6K Arri Alexa. Pocket 6K Arri Alexa. And that's just with a couple of tweaks with buttons and sliders and contrast shadows and highlights, right? I'm not doing any other craziness here. Without this highlight recovery, that's what I saw. But with this in post, I think, looking at this, even at ISO 400, the Pocket 6K can get more highlights recovered at 7 stops overexposure. Now we're going to switch over to the ISO 800 on both cameras. Same thing. Let's create 2 nodes. Switch it over to exposure drop down to 160. That's the lowest you can do. We're going to turn down the, see what I do, highlights, so we can get some of the highlights back. And you see we get that back right there, that little jagged edge right there. Let's go ahead and go to our primary wheels. Let's drag the shadows down, put our highlights up, a little bit down, okay, and then you can play with the mids if you want, then raise it up a little bit more, Control F, and that's what you get with just those strokes, knobs, sliders. That's it. So Alt-3, Alt-2, Alt-1. I'm just saving them. Okay, now obviously these two are going to be different because the clouds were kind of rolling. It was a cloudy day, so this was probably a little bit more cloudier than this shot, because this shot looks a little bit more blown up than the first one, even though they're pretty much the same exact tweaks in post-production. So let's go ahead and raise that up. Control F, this is ISO 800. And that's pretty much everything I can recover from the Arri RAW. Alright, so lastly, we'll go to the Blackmagic RAW, Pocket 6K. Now, this was shot at ISO 800. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing. 2 nodes, drop the ISO down, exposure down, highlight recovery. Click on this, drag it up, and that's what you're looking at. Blow it up. We're going to do Pocket 6K, Arri RAW, Pocket 6K, Arri RAW. Okay? So, in my opinion, alright, I actually did not expect this to happen, but I guess this is so. But then again, my test here is not scientific whatsoever. Alright, this is how I like to do my camera test. Take it outside, uncontrolled environment, sunny, cloudy, whatever. But according to this, the Blackmagic Pocket 6K can recover more highlights than the Arri Alexa at 7 stops over exposure. Alright guys, make sure to download the files. It's going to be in the pinned comments below. Play around with them yourselves. Share the video with me so I can take a look at it. And let me know if you can get more highlights out of the Arri Alexa.